Today we are going to be talking about my favorite drugstore products of 2024, all in this little basket. Isn't this cute though? This was like a gift from Benefit, but it's like a little shopping basket. So I have my shopping basket full of goodies. I really wanted to film this today, and I thought I would make a separate drugstore version instead of just like best makeup of 2024 because I just felt like this one deserved its own category. There was some really good drugstore products this year that I fell in love with, and this is kind of the kickoff to my best of 2024 series, which we will be featuring so much stuff from makeup to body care to perfume. We will be covering all the favorites, so stay tuned for some of these videos. I am so excited about these because I just love to talk about all my favorite things. So if that interests you, we are going to get ready together and I'm going to share my favorite drugstore products this year. So my top primer this year from the drugstore was actually this Catrice Aqua Splash Grip Primer. Now, I tried a lot of really good Catrice products this year, and they're not really found in many stores anymore, so I feel like they are so underrated and not talked about, but you can get them on the Catrice website and on Amazon, so it's still very easily accessible. You just kind of can't see the products in person, if that makes sense. They used to sell at Ulta, but they don't anymore. But I love this gripping primer. It feels so hydrating on the skin, and it's definitely really similar to the Milk Makeup one, and this is even cheaper than like the e.l.f. dupe. I find this one to be a little less tacky than the e.l.f., so I kind of like how it feels more on my skin, but once it dries down, you still get that stickiness from the primer that's really going to hold on to foundation. But yeah, for $8, you absolutely cannot beat this. It is so good. It doesn't get me too greasy, and my foundation lasts really well with this on. For foundation, again, we're going with Catrice here. I tried their new Drop Tinted Serum Foundation. I really did not have a lot of drugstore wins for foundation this year. There was just not a lot of new releases, it seems, for foundation. I feel like maybe last year had a bit more. I know I tried like the e.l.f. the new one that was really popular this year, but this one I really like just because it is so lightweight on the skin, and I have been liking a little bit more of a tint lately. And even though it has glow in the name, it's not overly dewy. I just feel like this blends out so nice. It's not too heavy. I know with the e.l.f., their satin foundation, I feel like that one sometimes feels a bit too much on the skin. It doesn't always wear the best, and it does oxidize quite a bit. I mean, I still enjoy it, but this one I think beats that for me. So I wanted to include this Catrice one at the top. I feel like Catrice has always done a really good job with their foundations. I mean, like their HD line went really viral when that came out years ago. I remember like all the big people talking about it, like Tati. Everyone was using it, but I love how this looks on my skin. It just looks so healthy. It gives enough coverage to cover my redness and some of my imperfections without still being full coverage. Like you could still see through it on the skin, but it is absolutely beautiful. It just kind of evens everything out, and pretty much all Catrice's stuff is under $10, which is crazy. So this one has been the best for me with just the lack of drugstore foundations this year. Now when it comes to eyeshadow, Colourpop is always the best at the drugstore for me, even though their stuff's not at like Walmart or, well, it is at Target now, I guess. I was gonna say it's not at Target, but it is at Target now, and they are definitely some of the best eyeshadows that you can get that are under $20 for the most part. I know some of their palettes are a little bit more. This Disney one actually might be a little bit more than that, but they're definitely way more affordable than some of the high-end palettes, and I really enjoyed this Colourpop Disney Beauty and the Beast palette this year. I feel like this was such good quality. It's a little neutral, which I like, but it still brings in pops of color from the movie, like the golds for Belle's dress and Lumiere. We have the blue for the Beast tux as well in the final scenes, but I really love the quality of this one. I thought it was so good. I know some Colourpop palettes can be, you know, hit or miss, but this was the good Colourpop quality. With this palette, I feel like the mattes were just so blendable, so buttery soft. Like even these lighter tones, they still show up pretty well on the skin, and then dipping into some of like the darker mattes here. I just really liked how these performed. Like I feel like this performed better than some of my high-end palettes from like Too Faced, even honestly some mattes from indie brands, because I feel like indie brands are always great at shimmers, but sometimes the mattes can be hit or miss. But like That looks so good. But look how easy that blends out. And I love the Colourpop Disney collabs. I feel like they are so fun. I know we didn't get as many this year. Colourpop definitely took a step back with some of their releases because they used to be just like releasing stuff left and right, and it got to be too much. Like, I would literally say, oh, it's Colourpop Thursday, because every single Thursday there would be a new release. And they've still come out with quite a bit, but they've definitely calmed down on the eyeshadow palettes because honestly, eyeshadow palettes just haven't been as popular as they used to be. And I still love them. I've noticed they have been kind of expanding their regular line of products though, not as much eyeshadows, but they launched a ton of other stuff like lip balms, new cream blushes, lip liners. They did a glassy lip as well. So still coming out with tons of products, but it's nice just to have a little break from them. I did want to shout out e.l.f. because they also launched new glitter shadows this year, and these are kind of exactly what I've been looking for in my collection, what I've been reaching for this year. A lot of single shadows. So these released kind of at the end of the year, so some people might include these in maybe their 2025 products, but for me, I feel like I got them at least in November. I try not to count the December stuff because typically a lot of the new drugstore releases in December are technically for 2025, so I am including these though because these were really nice. They were supposed to be very similar to the Urban Decay Moon Dust shadows, where they're just like ultra glittery, sparkly, but these are a little bit more fine glitters. They're not quite as wet looking as the Urban Decay, but they are still so beautiful on the eyes and at such an affordable price point. I love the Champagne Showers one. This one is stunning. That's definitely my most worn, and then I also have the shade White Hot. And this one's just a little bit more pigmented. This is Straight Fire. So these have been nice as well, and I think they'll definitely still be very popular in the new year. For concealer, I had to go with this one from L'Oreal, the True Match. This is the Radiant Serum Concealer. This one is actually quite nice. I would say it's not like the most full coverage, but this is actually really nice and thin and lightweight. Just depending on what you're looking for, this might not be your go-to for everything, but I feel like it does the job. And this is also very hydrating under the eyes. It's really nice and flattering. I will say this isn't the best for dark circles, but it definitely covers and just does what I need it to do. My dark circles aren't that bad, but if I had a day where maybe I had some more purple showing because I didn't get much sleep the night before, I would probably do like a color corrector underneath with some peach and then this on top because it is so lightweight. So like I said, it might not be your everyday concealer and it might not work for everyone, but if you're wanting something just nice and thin, if your main concern is like under eye wrinkles and crow's feet, you might actually like this one because this is so nice and thin. It's not going to settle into fine lines and look cakey like some of the thicker ones and full coverage ones on the market that are not as flattering for wrinkles. This one is such a flattering formula, so I really like this. I like the whole serum line. It kind of reminds me of their serum, like tinted serum too, that they have, and I just find this to be really flattering and beautiful under the eyes. Now, I have yet to find a drugstore powder that works good for me. Nothing compares to my Huda, and so I use that for pretty much everything under the eyes, all over the face. And I just haven't found an alternative for that because I feel like the drugstore, they're mostly making pressed powders. I don't find them doing loose powders too often. I know the Maybelline one has been kind of around for years, but I don't know, nothing compares to the Huda, just how nice it mattifies the skin and blurs my imperfections. Maybe this year we can see a good drugstore loose powder. I know e.l.f. is coming out with a pressed one, so I'm very curious to try that, but I know that one's going to be a little bit more luminous, but I do have some fun new drugstore makeup to try out very soon, but I wanted to make sure I've gotten all my thoughts on this year's stuff, and then we'll move on to the new stuff for next year. I had some amazing drugstore mascaras this year, like High End 2, We Don't Need Her. The drugstore killed it, and this was my favorite of all, but there was so many good ones, it was hard to pick. But the L'Oreal Panorama, this one, so good in the gold packaging. I know they launched a new mascara this year too that I need to try, but I don't know if they could top this for me. This one just really lengthens and separates each and every individual lash, which I love. And it doesn't clump up too bad either. I feel like it separates really nicely so you can get each and every individual lash here. but look how good that looks. It's awesome for the lower lashes too because it's really nice and defined. Like, you're not gonna make a mess with this one. And I am oily, so oftentimes many mascaras will smudge on me throughout the day because of my oily skin, and even like under my eyes will get oily. This does not. This does such a good job. It stays all day. It doesn't flake. It's so pretty under the eyes, and definitely worth the top spot this year for Drugstore mascara. I do not have a favorite Drugstore brow pencil this year, have to say. I tried the CoverGirl one. I think that's the only new one I tried this year, and it was just not it for me. But I do have a favorite brow gel I could share. I recently trimmed up my brows a little bit, so they're a little bit thin right now, so I don't have the most hairs to work with. But this Maybelline Super Lock brow gel, oh my gosh, this is so good. Like, honestly, it's so comparable to my favorite Rare Beauty gel. Definitely a gel finish. It's not super waxy and sticky, which I kind of like. So I just like to kind of fluff this in, push them up, let them kind of set a little bit, but this does such a good job at holding. This one really impressed me. For bronzer, I have to give it to the NYX Buttermelt bronzers. Now, these definitely take a little bit of work to get used to. These are ultra pigmented bronzer, so go with a lighter shade, use a light hand. Some of the undertones were a little bit questionable with these. A lot of them looked really pink or red, so it's not like perfect 10 out of 10. There really wasn't a lot of really good ones on the market this year, but this one by far was one of the best. So I just lightly tap my bronzer brush in here, and I'm actually gonna tap some of that product on my hand so it doesn't go too overboard. Because yeah, these are insanely pigmented, but once you kind of get just some of that product off, you get this really nice flush of color that's not too much. This one kind of almost has a reddish undertone, which I do like for my skin. Not everyone's gonna like that, but for me it just kind of looks like you're a little more sun-kissed. It looks like a natural tanned by the sun kind of look. These also kind of smell like coconut a little bit. Kind of like how the Physicians Formula ones did, but yeah, these are good. They're not like a 10 out of 10 for me just because they do require some effort, some work with them, but I would say they're a solid like 8.5 out of 10, which is pretty good. I also liked their Buttermelt blushes this year too. I think I like these even more than the bronzers, especially this shade right here in Soft Pink. This is the most pretty neutral pink. These are, again, super pigmented. Oh my word. Some of the colors are a little crazy out there. I kind of hope they come out with more shades in the future, but these are great as well. I'm actually going to use my favorite blush today, which is from Catrice. This is the Blush Affair Cream and Powder blushes. This shade in particular is just like the most beautiful shade for my skin. This one is Peach Passion. A lot of people were putting these as dupes to the Patrick Ta because they are a cream and powder formula. I would not say they are a dupe. I think they are similar, but the formulas are not the same. But the Patrick Ta ones are some of my favorites, so makes sense. With this formula, I actually prefer the cream blush first and then the powder on top because the cream blushes in here are not that glowy. And you can wear the creams on their own though, but they're definitely nowhere near like the glowiness that the Patrick Ta gives, which I'm not mad at because I'm oily skin, so I don't always want that much glow. These colors are not quite as pigmented as the Patrick Ta, but I think they're just so nice and soft on the cheeks. So that's how the cream looks on, and then we're gonna layer in the powder on top. But I am just obsessed with this color. This is my just like perfect blush. I wear this even more than a lot of my high-end blushes, but wow, this was such a top product this year. So I had to share that. Clearly Catrice was a favorite brand for me. I got to try so many of their products this year, which was nice about this video. I promise it's not sponsored. I just love them so much. The only thing I hate is the packaging, because anytime you drop this, it just is, the packaging is so cheap, which I guess that's why the brand is so inexpensive. Like this blush is, it's either $6 or $8, which is crazy, but yeah, the packaging is cheap. I wish it had a little bit nicer packaging. I would take a price hike with these for better packaging and just raise it up a couple bucks. Maybe try to still keep it under 10, but for better packaging, sometimes it is worth it. So maybe in the future they can do that, because I would love to see just some more durable packaging so I can like bring my stuff on trips with me and not worry about the packaging breaking. Another honorable blush mention is going to the e.l.f. Camo liquid blushes, especially this shade right here is my favorite. As you can tell, I love these neutral pinky rose tones. This one is in Suave Mauve, and these are pretty similar to the Rare Beauty liquid blushes, where they look like ultra pigmented at first, but these blend out even better than the Rare Beauty, and they're so easy to work with on the skin. Like, look at that. That looks so good. These blend like a dream. You only need a little bit of product. I love liquid blushes that are easy to work with, because so many others like either are patchy on the skin, you have to blend out super fast, or they like remove your foundation, which this one does none of the above. It is such a good liquid formula, and e.l.f. definitely killed this launch this year. I know they came out with contours too, but I would maybe consider those more for 2025 releases, so maybe you'll see that one in next year's, because those are also really nice. And then another honorable mention, clearly blush is just having its moment, but these Morphe Euphoric blushes, oh my gosh, these are so fun. They have like the swirl pattern inside, but wow, these are insanely pigmented, and for a cream blush they perform amazingly. Again, so easy to blend out on the skin, and look at this pretty peachy pink. These have a little bit of glow to them, but wow, these were so good this year. And I haven't tried a Morphe product in ages. It's just a brand I never look at anymore, but I just kept hearing good things about these, and so I finally decided to bite the bullet, pick one up, and it did not let me down. This one's in the shade Pleasured, another launch to definitely check out. So I did not have a drugstore lip liner that I fell in love with this year. I tried a lot, but I'm really picky with lip liners, and I don't like a super creamy formula. I like them a little more in between, because when they're too creamy, they just slide right off. I need to have some hold in place. A lot of people have been saying they really like the Maybelline lip liners, and I have not tried those yet, so maybe that's something that I might like, but I'm just very picky about lip liners. But the drugstore, they did come through with some really good lip products this year, and I really love the e.l.f. lip oils. I don't know if you would consider this a 2023 release or 4. I think they came out right at the end of 2023, but for me, I used them mostly this year, so I'm including them. I'm trying to decide what shade I want to use. I really like these like solid ones a lot. This brown one was quite well loved for me. This one is Honey Talks. They have a minty smell. Not everyone loves that, but for me, I think it's nice. So this is just such a nice Your Lips But Better, slightly hint of pinky brown. But I love how glossy these are. They're a nice thicker formula, which I love, and they still have some nice slide to the lips like a lip oil, but these look so good. I love every single shade. Like, you cannot go wrong with these. I also wanted to include these from Salt Air. I really loved these lip balms this year. Again, it's kind of a lip oil balm, so these have a little bit more slip to them. They're not even as thick as these e.l.f. ones, and they're not quite as shiny, but these have a little more color to them. But these are under $10, and I feel like people forget about these because, again, these lip balms are not necessarily sold at Walmart or Target. I know the Salt Air brand is at Target, but they don't have the lip oil balms yet. Maybe this year they will, who knows? But these are so good. They're like $9. Check them out on their website. They smell like toasted coconut, and they have so many good shades if you want something that actually does feel like kind of a lip oil for the lips, but it's not greasy and it's still gonna give some good color. These are so nice, and Salt Air makes more skincare, hair care products, so you know that these are actually gonna be hydrating for the lips too. So those are my top drugstore products of 2024. There were so many good ones, and I wanted to make its own separate video because I tried almost every single drugstore launch this year, and I would like to continue that into 2025 as well, because I love affordable makeup. I know you guys do too. I love my high-end as well, but I just really wanted to shout out these amazing drugstore products. These are definitely more affordable, but if you blindfolded me, I probably would not be able to tell the difference if it was a drugstore product or high-end. So I hope this video was helpful. Let me know if you guys tried any of these, and also let me know what was some of your favorite drugstore products this year. Maybe it's something that I missed. Like I said, I did not try the Maybelline lip liners this year, but that is definitely on my agenda to pick up. And then in the next week or two, we're gonna get into some of the drugstore new releases because there's already been so many new products out for 2025. I'm so excited. All these products will be linked down below if you guys want to check them out. You can shop on YouTube Shopping or in the description box, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.